that funky slide guitar music that comes out every Monday through Friday live at 5 on the Evil at Bean Network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire. You'll see my nice smiling shining face. Of course, we'll check in with at the bottom of the hour with the Mighty Met 1490 AM as we usually do, and hopefully we'll have Dr. Kelly on to give her advice on fraud. Fauci, who should be in a federal penitentiary. Even Meghan McCain agrees with that. Get to that whole fiasco coming up. Plus, how much more arrogant can Gavin Newsom get? Smash and grabs seem to be going on in one store on a daily basis. We'll give you the report on that. Some of the incredible things that have went on all across this weekend, but of course we start with the race report. Man, they had a heck of a show Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The Florence North-South 100 in Florence, Kentucky. Man, there was some hellacious racing going on. They also had the inductees to the National Hall of Fame for dirt late models to go along with this weekend. Some of the racers, mechanics, suppliers were all inducted into that. This was kicking off some of the heat race action before Saturday. You see them flying in the air. Let's roll back and do some replaying. Here we go.
And that car dug in, and I looked up, and he had massive air as Michael Leach, the Montana driver, in the 09.
He is, as we speak, he is climbing out of the race car right now, Florence. Let him hear you. Michael Leach able to walk away.
Michael Leach climbed out of that one. That was just some of the start of the weekend in Florence, Kentucky. And man, oh man, did it get better than that. And you usually don't. It's kind of unusual to see a 100-lap race be more competitive than some of the other racing going on, or some of like the 10-lap heat races. But it was an intense finale. On flow, here's more of the North-South 100 Saturday night in Florence, Kentucky.
And man, just it looks like Ebert's car did not want to take off. Meanwhile, Max Blair on top of the 18 of Shannon Babb.
Look at the, here's one we haven't looked at yet, the speed shot on the front straightaway.
Look how quick he slowed down. Like whatever dug in the ground, it actually pulled his front end to the wall. And then here everybody comes. Like you said, it's green flag. So these guys, we've talked about throttle stompers all weekend. That's what they was doing.
That's incredible. Yes, they were throttle stomping all weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in Florence, Kentucky, as you've seen. That was right at the start, or close to just a couple laps in to the race there in Florence, Kentucky. And you see how competitive they were, nose to tail, side by side. One guy F's up, and then the rest of the chaos ensues. That's the opening laps at the North-South 100 in Florence, Kentucky. More of the great racing. Here we go. We thought.
Good run on this restart, trying to work his way around the 40B of Bronson and the 76 of Overton. Top three cars immediately put a few car lengths between themselves and the rest of the field, and here comes Devin Moran.
Out of turn number 4 with our fourth different leader. No, Kyle Bronson still leads here at Florence.
So you see, that was their 3-4 wide competitive. Right about in this time, Jonathan Davenport, maybe the king, probably, I would say, over the last 10 years, most people consider the most successful dirt late model racer, had a flat tire. And everybody, oh, he's done. Can't come back. Well, keep that little vignette in mind. as we explore more of the racing in Florence, Kentucky. Let's see if it will play. Here we go.
Davenport was in a wreck. Rice was in a wreck. Your top three have all been involved in cautions here.
Devin Moran leads it to 3. 23 to go. Rice is going to rail the top. Out of 4. Davenport trying to protect it. Oh, crossover by Rice. Watch this in the 1-0. Man! Are you...
Yes, they were serious, James Essex. And as you see, Devin Moran, Davenport, and Rice were all involved in incidents. Every one of them, most people thought they were out of the race or weren't in contention. Here they are battling it out like nobody's business. No holes barred, no quarter unturned. So it gets down to Josh Rice, hometown hero at his hometown track, against Jonathan Davenport for the win in the North-South 100. Here we go.
Down into 1 and 2.
Here comes Rice. Oh! Gets a kick down the back straight away.
Oh, man, Moran's there in 3rd. Checkered flag in the air. Oh, Rice going to try to drive back down the straightaway. Rice will win the North-South.
So Rice banged it off the wall in 4, between 3 and 4. Davenport got back under him. He throttles her back up and wins in his hometown racetrack, where he won many of the local features and was a big swinging D there. Comes back and wins one of the biggest, most prestigious dirt late model races of all time in an epic battle, and beat the best in the business, JD Jonathan Davenport, in his famous 49 for the win. It was an absolutely incredible set. One of the definitely to me, most exciting racing weekend of all of everybody that was out there. Another one, they had the Ralph Capitani Classic, World Outlaws, getting ready to kick off this week, the Knoxville Nationals the rest of the week, but they had an outlaw feature Saturday night. Anthony Macri did not fare so well, and this is just after he had just made a comeback. He had a serious back injury right at the beginning of the year back in Pennsylvania, I believe, at the port. And he's made it back, has been very successful running of that. Headed back to the mecca of sprint car racing, Knoxville, and preparing for the Knoxville Nationals, where a lot of them were racing Saturday. And as you see, his world came undone. Of that, we have some, let's see, videotape of that crash. Let's see.
Bring us to the green. Kelby Watt with a great start, and up and over goes Anthony Macri and Brady Bacon in a huge wreck. Red flag.
Huge wreck, to say the least. Macri's car, as you saw, was basically completely junked. See $40,000 up in smoke, at least, in one shot. After suffering a back injury, now he's out. Anthony Macri, and he posted this, he's out with a broken clavicle of that, so he'll be back on the mend, but he should be back in a sprint car, I imagine, shortly. The Concrete Kid, one of the fastest when you put a wing sprint car in. Macri's one of the best in the business. So hopefully for a speedy recovery. That Kyle Larson eventually won the Capitani Classic at Knoxville, and again, I think it either starts tomorrow or Wednesday till Saturday, with the conclusion of the Knoxville Nationals. Prestigious was to pay $250,000 to win of all week. Definitely, I think without a doubt, the most prestigious sprint car race in the world. Santa Maria Speedway saw the Ultimate Sprint Car Series Saturday night. Caden Sorale swept it, setting fast time, winning his heat race and the main event. Caleb Montgomery, who's been dominating up at Santa Maria, wing or non-wing, was second. Ryan Timmons third. Trent Carter fourth. Connor Spear fifth. Tyler Cato sixth. So congratulations for the sweep to Carden Sorale. Now we need to put a trophy dash in there. To me, a real trophy, a real sweep. Since they don't run it, you can't count. I'm not discounting it. But a real sweep is fast time, win the trophy dash, win the heat race, and the main event. But congratulations to Caden Sorale. They got to do these squirrely names just to mess with Roy on that. Our nostalgic picture of the week is in DuQuoin, Illinois at the State Fair. The great Al Unser goes by. Steve Lotshaw, who's flying out of the park out there on the Bullet Fast Mile. Al Unser, without a doubt, greatest 1 mile champ dirt car racer in the history of the world, hands down. No question. That's a wild pick of Steve Lotshaw rolling her out of the park, tearing down the catch fencing, it looks like, in '74, when IndyCar drivers were real racers. Sad news if you're here from this area and you've been around a while. Willard Smitty Smith, longtime competitor at the Orange Show Speedway, starting, I believe, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, passed away at 91. His daughter, Denise Rotolo, posted, got the coughs, posted on the social media wars last night. As she said, at 91, he passed away early, I believe, Saturday morning, but at 91, he had a very good run. Rest easy, Willard Smitty Smith. In other news, Jackie, the bald eagle, Jackie in shadow with the camera up there on that. We had the report of she had anemia. Some of the other female counterpart birds were attacking her up on the Big Bear Lake. She was rescued. She's been in very poor condition. Well, today she passed away from anemia and the injuries suffered as she was being attacked up on Big Bear Lake. So rest easy, Jackie the bald eagle from Big Bear. So we'll get into how can Gavin Newsom get more arrogant. We'll have Dr. Kelly Victory and the latest fraud Fauci revelations. I don't know how much more evil one person could be, but Fauci's got to rank up in the top 3. Well, this and much, much more on today's show. We'll get to the Fauci stuff again when Dr. Kelly Victory comes here in about 20 minutes or so. How much more arrogant can that piece of S. Gavin Newsom get? He's making a full-out assault run for President of the United States in 28. He's basically gave California the middle finger because he's after these presidential aspirations. So he's in Michigan with Alibaba, or whatever the hell his name is, trying to convince those forces who are running a communist takeover of the United States to vote for him. Well, on the next hand, he's with the billionaire tech bros, cutting deals with them, selling the people down the river, pointing a gun at 40 million Californians and saying, I'm going to steal your money. And I'm going to give it to my cronies that are going to elect me. Here he is with Alibaba or whatever the hell his name is. Campaigning in Michigan. Really, it's all about the gav. Let's see if it will play. Here we go.
That there's something bigger happening. I think what's happening is there's just a desire for change. I think this notion of insurgency over incumbency is the real message here. And people just want fighters. They want people with conviction, strength, clarity.
This insurgency, and they want change. And from that standpoint, he is correct. But this is where I believe people have made a huge error in perception. When Trump came into office in 15 and then got elected in 16 and the MAGA movement, Make America Great, and the Republicans, let's say you're center right, the Christian majority or whatever, everybody's going to our philosophy. Or all these ones that weren't. Now these center or former Democrats or Democrats are starting to go our philosophy. No, they weren't. Same thing when you go to Biden and it shifts back, and then Trump, it shifts back. There is a coalition. The MAGA Trump voter in 16 and 24, and even a lot of the Biden voters in 20, and then you can extrapolate this to local, statewide offices. And as the late great Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, once said, all politics are local, he was close. Really, all politics are about me, I, the individual. This coalition that voted MAGA and Trump and Biden and switches back and forth. And even now is saying, okay, we tried MAGA, well, the hell with that, we're going DSA or whatever. It's all about them. They're seeing, they don't care who or what or how. They want affordable gasoline. They don't want $6, $7, $8 a gallon at the pump. They want a house they can afford. They want roads and streets that aren't clogged to the gills and in complete disrepair. And who's provided all this? They don't want their money to be taken and saying, okay, we're going to give it to this oligarch or this yo-yo under the guise of nonprofit or non-government organization and say we're going to help the vagrants or the kitty cats or the bald eagles or whatever. And they stick it in their pockets. And make your life more miserable. That's where the pundits and the political analysts and even Gavin Newsom is correct in that, and he sees it. Why do you think Gavin Newsom's been all over the map? Podcasts this, was on with Charlie Kirk and Mike Savage, and then, from the kookball liberals and everybody, searching because he knows it's all about me. Gavin Newsom's all about me, you. When you go to vote, it's all about your voting what you believe in your own perceived self-interest. And people are talking about the political parties and the who-highs and the wherefores and the political philosophies. This says it very well by Tom Kirkman. Politics doesn't run on reason, it runs on emotion. And how many times have we said the reason our politics has gotten way off a track is because we're running on 147% emotion. Even if the counter is 100% logic, you're still going to lose. People vote on their instincts and backfill arguments to fit them. So this is my supposition. And why I say it's not it's not all politics are local. All politics is about me, what affects me, my life, however. In the most part, it's not about political philosophy or X, Y, and Z or political party or even a candidate. The MAGA movement wasn't about Trump. It was about what Trump said he was going to do. He was going to fix these problems. Joe Biden said he's going to fix these problems. Gavin Newsom said he's going to fix these problems. Karen Bass says she's going to fix these problems, and on and on. You can switch back and forth between all different types of political philosophies. Mitch McConnell, he's going to fix everything. Ted Cruz, pick whoever you like. And people are gravitating towards their self-interest. Well, they come in, Trump did pretty good in the first Trump 1.0 till the COVID con came in. Then we went through 4 more years of Biden, and we all got that. Then Trump comes back with the same philosophy. Oh, I'm going to fix all these problems. And we went through them. We don't have to go through the whole rigmarole. But now people are perceiving, this Trump came in, this didn't get fixed, that didn't get fixed, or he gave up on that and he's backtracking on this. Well, hell. We're going to try something else, even if it's wrong. If Trump comes in and he can't do it, well, maybe Mondami's got the reason. Well, let's try that. It's run on emotion. Politics is run mostly on emotion, not logic. In 1776, that was the same, but the logic, despite great odds, won out. That is not the case today. Emotion is running out, and Gavin Newsom knows how to play it.
People that get it want to get things done, and they're done with the status quo, and I totally respect that. I've long felt like...
See, he's telling you, the people are done with the status quo. Even though this guy right here is the epitome of the status quo, establishment, he's going to tell you what you want to hear and then tell you to grab your ankles because you know what's coming next. Gavin Newsom knows, has been well instructed, been taught, coached, on how to use the political playing field to his and his backers' benefit.
I've been an established insurgent. I've always had that mindset.
I've been an established insurgent. I'm the one. I'm going to make the trains run on time. Who's most famous for saying that? I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix vagrancy and mental illness. 2004. Just tax the rich white boys. 2009, there's going to be none of it. You won't see a vagrant on the street. We'll have him in a treatment facility done in 5 years. We'll have it fixed. Him and Steinberg, who's head of the Senate at the time. He was mayor of San Francisco. Push Prop 63. Hundreds of billions of dollars later, the problem, we all know, we live it every day, is humongously worse. But he's the insurgent.
I've been in elected office a long time, but I've never been naive about people's desire for change, including my own desire for change.
I've never been able to give my own desire of change of whenever you see the exaggerated facial expressions and the spastic hand movements, you know he is lying through his teeth. He's being deceptive because he's making you're looking at what the hell's going on. You're not listening to what he is saying because you're looking at this and you're looking at him. Looking at what the hell is the guy having a heart attack, a stroke? Is he having a spaz attack?
Improvement, for self-reflection. And I think for every incumbent Democrat, I think an incumbent Republican, I think that's important to consider. And I think that's very much alive at this moment because people are deeply anxious about this country and not only the architecture of this country, which is being assaulted by Trump every single day, but by
which he's picking up. People are anxious. And what has he got to do? Oh, well, whenever you want to work on emotion, oh, look at that boogeyman Trump over there. He's the reason all the problems you perceive, it's Trump's fault. Blame it on Trump. He knows how to run the emotional car.
These trend lines that are now headlines. And that is the fact that we're living in a time where just 10% of people own 2/3 of the wealth, 10% of people own 93% of the equities. It's a portfolio economy, not a paycheck economy.
At least he's much better delivering a word salad than Kamala Harris. There's no sensibility. It sounds, if you don't know, it might sound perfectly plausible. There was no rhyme or reason to that. 3% this and 10% that, and yet it's absolutely amazing. Smash and grab seem to be back on the rise again. They're hitting a poor auto parts store twice in consecutive days. Let's see what the Cedar Fox 11 report has to say. Here we go.
In 24 hours. It happens Saturday and Sunday mornings at the AutoZone near Olympic and Atlantic. Fox 7's Matthew Seedorf there tonight with more for us.
The windows tonight boarded up exactly like they were last night, but tonight they also have added extra security workers here hoping this stops. Another break-in, another night boarding up windows and doors at this East LA auto zone. Cell phone video shows looters swarming the store Sunday morning around a door already boarded up from the night before, leaving with hands full of stolen batteries, oil, mats, whatever they could grab.
I come here all the time, and there should be no reason why people do this. They're gonna get caught.
The first break-in early Saturday morning during a street takeover involving at least 100 cars at Olympic and Atlantic. Then 24 hours later, another takeover, another break-in, no arrest.
24 hours later? What'd they think? Well, you know, we might have forgot a case of oil or something that we didn't loot out of there the first time? That just shows they're so bold, they know they're not going to get caught. Born in East LA.
And then in Watson, almost identical scene Sunday morning at a different AutoZone. Another street takeover, another store looted, even a Waymo set on fire. And now this worker boarding up the store again, but wearing a bullet-resistant vest. Dangerous out here?
Yes, dangerous, yeah, especially at night, you know. So I need to protect myself too, because you never know, you know.
3 AutoZone break-ins, 2 locations, all in just 24 hours.
3 break-ins in 24 hours. And only 2 stores once they hit twice. And the workers trying to board up the broken windows got to wear bulletproof frickin' vests to avoid dying and the bullets flying. This is absolutely amazing.
How often are you doing this sort of stuff?
We're doing 24/7, breaking into houses, places like this. It's not safe anymore.
Investigators say they're reviewing surveillance footage as well as cell phone video to try to identify suspects. They're also increasing patrol in the area. Reporting.
We're working 24/7. Boarding up windows. This is happening all over. And we have to wear bulletproof vests while we're trying to secure the facilities that have been broken into. And the rest of the country, well, if they're going to vote for Mandami and Alibaba and whatever, people are discounting Gavin Newsom. Oh, don't underestimate him. Because you will be shocked. You can tell by the rhetoric, if you break down and you really analyze and you have some experience in the political, broadcasting, public relations, public speaking realm, you can pick out what he is doing like a sore thumb. So along with 26 and the November elections coming up, that will go a long way into shaping how the future in 28 and beyond go. But remember, give all this to political parties and stuff. All politics is about you and how it affects you. Your perception is your reality. Doesn't matter if it's reality. People that are following Newsom or Mondami or Alibaba or whatever, it's about them, not about Mondami. So the informed voter, the informed public, is much less likely to be conned.
You got about 30 seconds, Roy. Here's Dr. Kelly now.
Than any
Hello, Dr. Kelly.
one else. And that's why they have tried to make
Can you hear me okay?
Robot. Sean said we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET here in a few seconds.
Dr. Kelly?
We'll have Dr. Kelly on, get onto this whole new Fauci stuff.
Uh-oh.
And everything else.
She's calling back in, Roy.
Okay.
All right.
Looks like Sean's having a little trouble.
Here we go.
He'll get it fixed.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band, joining our vast video audience in the evil FB network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire, give me a nice smiling shining face. Absolutely, I mean, the North-South 100 dirt late model race.
Okay, Dr. Kelly's back.
At Florence, Kentucky was absolutely fabulous. Go back and watch if you haven't. If you're just joining us in KMET, go back on IE Newswire and watch the highlights of that. Absolutely incredible racing weekend going on. They put on one hell of a show all across the board. Gavin Newsom, and he's pointing out what I've said. Even the once great or late great Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, said all politics is local. He was close. All politics is about me, the individual. It's even smaller than that. Gavin Newsom is the latest to exploit that to the max. If you understand that, you'll understand the politics of Trump, the MAGA movement, the Mondami movement, Alibaba, and everything, and Gavin Newsom and everything in between. But you got to deal with logic, not emotion. 3 smash and grabs in East LA in 2 stores. That means they hit one store twice. What, they forget a case of oil or something that they had to go back for? They know they're not going to get caught. It amplifies what's going on in society today. But, as we usually do on a Monday, we have, as I've determined her, the supreme physician in all the world, expert on COVID-19 and just about everything else, Dr. Kelly Victory. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Hey, Roy. Great to be with you as always.
Man, let's jump into it. The text messages came out. Rand Paul, Ron Johnson, senators, U.S. senators in the hearings. They released the text messages. Anthony Fauci knew darn well the vaccine was a danger to pregnant women. And he withheld that information from the public, and especially the pregnant women, to not only endangering them, but their soon or maybe not to be born babies because of this. Miscarriages were going up. They knew it. If you got the jab, yet they covered it up. This has got to be, of all the heinous things that's been revealed so far, this may be the highest. But what say you, Dr. Kelly?
I agree. Look, the trove of damning evidence against Anthony Fauci grows by the day. First, we had all of the information contained in the so-called diary that was dropped by Rand Paul, where we became overwhelmingly clear in Fauci's own words that he was lying about the origins of the virus, about the necessity of lockdowns, the usefulness of masks, the idea of social distancing, and God knows the safety and efficacy of the vaccines. Now we have text messages retrieved from his federal telephone, his government telephone, and specifically the one you're referencing is on a text message thread between Rochelle Walensky, who was the then head of the CDC, and Vivek Murthy, the Surgeon General at the time, where Fauci acknowledges that the second shot of the two-shot series could certainly induce a miscarriage in early pregnancy. Not only was Anthony Fauci not saying that openly to the public, he was saying the opposite. He was encouraging pregnant women to get these shots, saying they were safe and effective even in pregnancy, and people like me who dared to warn pregnant women. I was hauled in front of the medical board on more than one occasion to account for the fact that I was warning pregnant women against these. So I was saying in public what Anthony Fauci knew and was saying in private, which is that those shots were not safe for pregnant women. They were inducing miscarriages, and now we finally have proof that he knew it.
Not only do we have the text messages, we have Anthony Fauci in his own words.
Approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no red flags, as we say, and this is being monitored by the CDC and the FDA.
There it is. He said it. But, there was so much chaos going on through this whole thing. And nobody had, let's say we didn't have the scientific proof or knowledge. He is a science that he had, and he knew damn well he was lying when he said that. Yet he went on camera and didn't say, maybe it is, but we have these other studies that do suggest that there may be a danger, and giving that to the pregnant women before they decided to take the shot. No, he said, if you don't have the shot, you're going to kill everybody. Dr. Kelly.
Absolutely. And look, this breached one of the fundamental constructs, Roy, of medicine, which is that we never, ever give a novel therapeutic or intervention to a group of people on whom it has not been tested. Those shots were not tested on pregnant women. In fact, the minimal testing that was done, you were specifically excluded if you were pregnant or trying to get pregnant. So they had never been tested on pregnant women, yet they come out and say, oh, yes, they're perfectly safe. Everyone should get one. In fact, get 2, get 3, get 5. The more the merrier. We were seeing clinically a significant increase in spontaneous miscarriages. We knew it was happening. Women were having unexplained hemorrhaging, all of these problems. And look, here's the reality. If you were pregnant and you got one of those shots, and you were fortunate enough, and God, I hope you were, that you didn't miscarry, and you carried that child to term, what makes you think that baby wasn't harmed? What makes you think that 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 years down the road, that child isn't going to develop other complications like autism, like neurocognitive issues? What makes you think that just because you didn't miscarry as a result of the shot, that, everything's free and clear? You were lied to, and there needs to be accountability. People were lied to, and that is absolutely evil.
1,000%. One of those people who was pregnant and suffered a miscarriage is Meghan McCain, daughter of Senator John McCain. Not necessarily one of my favorite senators, and politically we've disagreed a lot. She's come around more to my side of the deal. But she put out a series of tweets since this came out and said, I was pregnant during that time and suffered a miscarriage. On top of it, put Fauci in jail for the rest of his life. Now, Meghan McCain of and those who were directly affected by this, definitely. I mean, definitely in my mind, and I would hope anybody's, definitely have a legitimate concern. And you can't put the genie back in the bottle. But as to prevent this from ever happening again, if Anthony Fauci is not charged, convicted, and behind bars, this will happen again, and maybe at a greater scale. That's why this is of so much importance, at least in my mind. But what say you, Dr. Kelly?
No, absolutely. I mean, this, I was asked recently if I thought that this, rose to the level of the criminal, and that's not even a question to me. Yes, this is a horrific crime against humanity. Anthony Fauci didn't make mistakes. He didn't make an error. He wasn't incompetent. He lied. He was a man who made a decision to put his own celebrity above the health and welfare of Americans. He was a man who chose to take royalties from the patents on vaccines above the health and wellness of Americans. He's a man who took gifts, invitations to, A-class parties, cases of wine, dinners out, the ability to, sit at baseball games, to throw the first pitch. That was more important to him than the health and welfare of the Americans he was entrusted to oversee. That is a crime. Furthermore, one of the things, Roy, that has been, little reported on by the mainstream media is the fact that Anthony Fauci's senior advisor, David Morens, was indicted in April of this year for conspiracy against the federal government, specifically conspiracy to hide documents, to eliminate and destroy documents to avoid them being found via FOIA requests. He used private servers, private emails in his communications with Anthony Fauci. David Morens is indicted on that. If he gets convicted, he's facing decades in prison. So one of my questions is David Morens going to sing like a canary when the time comes? Is he going to throw Anthony Fauci under the bus and tell it exactly how it is? Because that's a real question to me. He was a senior advisor at the NIAID for Fauci for a long time. And this guy is currently under a federal indictment by the Department of Justice. And I think he's got a lot to tell.
Danielle Greenbaum Davis posted this on the X machine. When I was working at The View, I was pregnant. We had a guest come on the air who had just come back from a briefing with Fauci at the White House. She was on the air and told Americans that everything was fine and to take the subway and just wash their hands. During the commercial break, she told me to go home and not come back. F Fauci. And F every single person who blames the Americans who don't trust the institutions instead of the liars who got us here. And I think we've discussed that for 5 or 6 years. Maybe the biggest danger of this whole COVID con that we went through is people are now not going to trust our government or our medical or physicians or our hospitals or our epidemiologists or anybody else because of this. How do we know? How do we know you're giving us the COVID con 2.0 again? I think this is maybe the biggest tragedy of all to come out of this, Dr. Kelly.
Oh, I think without question, and I warned about this from the very, very early days of the pandemic when I could see what was happening. I said, the greatest tragedy from this whole thing ultimately will be the loss of confidence, the loss of trust in public health. Because God help us when the next thing comes along, and it will. There's always a next crisis, whether it's man-made, environmentally made, God-made, whatever it is, where we will need the public at large to pay attention, to pay heed, to do whatever it is we're suggesting. And that's gone. And, it is perfectly reasonable for your average American to say, I'm not listening to those buffoons. They got it wrong the last time. Even if you didn't believe that Anthony Fauci was evil, even if you didn't believe that these people had, orchestrated this whole thing, even if you thought they were just plain incompetent, that would be enough. But now that you know from Anthony Fauci, this isn't Dr. Kelly Victory's, thought that Anthony Fauci was lying. We now know. You've got the damn diary. You've got the texts. Now you've got the proof. I've been fully vindicated. Not only was I right, but Anthony Fauci knew the same thing I was saying. He just lied about it. That has done more to undermine trust, faith in public health than anything that an error, a mistake, that incompetence ever could have done. Because if they can stand up and lie, and if they can lie in a coordinated way, one of the things that Anthony Fauci said in his diary was that he didn't want Rochelle Walensky, the head of the CDC, to come out and say that the shots were completely ineffective, which they were, because that would undermine the Department of Defense's ability to enforce the mandate on our military. So think about that. He didn't want to tell the truth because he wanted the Department of Defense to be able to shove into the arms of our most trusted military. These young recruits, to say, you've got to take this damn jab if you want to stay in. If that's not evil, Roy, I don't know what is. It's hard for me to get my arms around it. This makes Nuremberg look like, child's play.
1,111%. People have been charged with double murder. When a pregnant woman has been killed, and could be manslaughter in a car accident or something, not only the woman but the unborn child she is carrying was they've been charged and convicted and served jail time or been executed under the double murder charges. To think that Anthony Fauci put women and their unborn children's lives in danger, and those unborn children, miscarriages, however you want to say it, I believe Anthony Fauci is guilty, in my mind, and you'll never convince me of otherwise, of murder for every one of those unborn kids that never got to see the daylight of the earth that we live in today, because he did not want to admit he was wrong or whatever, or he was trying to CYA his own rear end because he knew he was the one that was the main or one of the main drivers of how this thing got started, letting it spread and getting it out of control. I just don't, again, you can take Hitler or Stalin or any of the tin-horn dictator murderous people of all. If he ain't right up there number one, he's in the top three, Dr. Kelly.
I agree with you. Listen, I was reading today, I read in small bits because it's too nauseating to read, in one fell swoop, these diary, quote-unquote, entries of his. And one that I was reading that stuck out to me was where he was reporting on the increasing number of deaths happening from COVID, quote unquote, in young people, which I believe were related to the vaccine. And in the same paragraph, he simultaneously, after talking about deaths of young people, he goes into reporting how many items with his face, with his image on it, are being sold on Amazon. Everything from coffee mugs to, garden signs. And I'm thinking, what kind of a megalomaniac, what sort of a narcissistic jerk does this? He was so enamored with celebrity, so enamored with everything that he was getting from his position, Roy, that he did not care. And it honestly, I don't know if he'll ever be held to account, certainly in this life. God knows he will be in the next. But I hope, at a minimum, that he spends every one of his last days on this earth, every one of his miserable days, in court, preparing for some hearing, answering, a summons or a subpoena from some state or another, and that it makes his life, miserable. I hope it makes it absolutely miserable, because that's what he did to the rest of us.
Switching gears, I want to touch on this before we leave. Jay Bhattacharya, current, or was the acting director of the Center of Disease Control, CDC. And you get to the point of where, with all this, you can't be acting director because he'd have probably never been confirmed anyway. But at least we got the year and a half or whatever we got of him in that. You put up a retweet on the X machine of that breaking Senate confirms the queen of mandating vaccines. Dr. Erica Schwartz as your new CDC director on a 50-44 vote. This is not necessarily something that gives me the warm and fuzzies, and I don't know why Trump... Well, I don't know if this is the Trump that was pushing the vaccines and stuff when he was president of that, versus the Trump who has appointed Robert Kennedy and Jay Bhattacharya to positions. But this one doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies, but what say you, Dr. Kelly?
Oh, I think she's a disaster. Erica Schwartz, look, she was she applied Nazi tactics. She forced the vaccines on the entire military. She wants to do it again, not just COVID vaccines, but also influenza vaccines, which, by the way, I would be remiss in not mentioning that while all the rest of this stuff was going on and people were distracted, by the war and everything else that's happening, the FDA managed to approve a new mRNA vaccine for influenza. How in the world that could have happened, given all of the incredible data we have on the harms from the mRNA COVID shots? But they approved an mRNA shot for influenza, and the the FDA's own data showed that it caused 4 times more severe systemic reactions than normal flu vaccines. So how that got passed is beyond me. I think it's whatever horse trading goes on in Washington that has nothing to do with what's good for Americans and everything to do with the passage of money. But Erica Schwartz would absolutely be one to recommend that our military receive that new mRNA flu vaccine next year, this coming fall. And I think she's a disaster. I said it from the time she was nominated. I'm sorry to hear that she was confirmed, and I think the tyranny will continue.
Got a couple minutes left. Anything else our audience should know? Go.
Well, I think that, that's the big one. I do think people should take the time to read some of these diary entries and text messages themselves so that they understand that this is not something that just, Roy Bleckert or Kelly Victory or whoever is reporting on. When you read them and this is Anthony Fauci's own words. This is what he was putting down. It becomes so clear. It makes it so tangible. And I think truly you cannot read these things and not think back to, wait a minute. If he was saying that on this date, how could he at the same time have been on all the Sunday talk shows saying the polar opposite, saying something antithetical? And you will start to understand exactly how evil this was, and really be one of those people who is pushing for accountability. As I said, it may not be in my lifetime. It certainly will be in his next life. But in the meantime, I hope that we make the rest of his life on this green earth miserable.
Thanks for being on. We'll do this again soon.
Thanks. Talk soon.
Dr. Kelly Victory, as we say, saying it only as she can. A lot of challenges going on, and again, I'm great. I mean, even if this Dr. Erica Schwartz is a disaster, which looks like it may be, at least we had a year and a half of Jay Bhattacharya as head of the CDC. And given the parameters of what we were, let's say, under before that, we can thank our lucky stars he was there. Just want to play this short clip from Jay Bhattacharya on the Fauci text
The new text release from Dr. Fauci's phone seems to be a different message privately than what he was telling publicly about the vaccine in pregnant women.
I mean, I'm really glad that his words now can be heard by the American people. And I share your concern. I think that when you have a new product like the COVID vaccine was back then, you should be careful with pregnant women. And it's shocking to me that that he was sharing private thoughts, and that when he was out on public, and he was out in public a lot.
The only thing I disagree with in Jay Bhattacharya is I'm not shocked Anthony Fauci hid that information from pregnant women and put the unborn children in danger of being miscarried of that. That I am not shocked about in the least. But hopefully, and I'm sure we'll hear more from Dr. J on that and stuff. He's not going away. He's just not going to be this acting CDC director anymore. But he was one of the top three in the Great Barrington Declaration, and a stand-up guy for the real science. And a real scientist who was telling us, science should tell you, science is about what we know at the time the best for everyone. And that's what Jay Bhattacharya stood for, Dr. Kelly Victory, and many more. And I'm grateful at least he had a year and a half or so, or whatever it's been, in there to at least try to bring a little bit of sanity to the Center of Disease Control, which needs it very, very desperately. And I want to get into this whole thing, and I'm looking at you know what, I went and did some studies of 6 months of how they're doing the con deal on this. I go out today, and I'm looking, and it says, oh, in Moreno Valley, it's 98 degrees. So I go back and look at all my 3 thermometers, pull them out. Here, at least on my happy little 3 acres, 87 degrees. No, it's warm outside. I know when it's 98. I can tell the difference between 87 and 98. You know, I'm looking at that. Either I'm getting hyper, either my strength is getting better or stuff as I age, because this heat isn't affecting me like it used to. We're getting run cons all over the place. It just ain't the CDC or Fauci or anything else. We got a lot of things to worry about, let's per se, in this whole matter. That'll do it for today, but as we usually say at this time, mandatory, you're back here in 23 hours. Why? You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid program.
All right, Roy. I don't know, man. The thermometer in backyard Cherry Valley yesterday said 95. So.
Well, you might have been that. I mean, I'm talking today. It was warmer yesterday, I will say that. But I just happened to be looking at the deal and saying 98, and I'm going, there ain't no way. It's 98 degrees. I mean, you know, 98 degrees, you walk outside and it's hot. You know that. I'm walking outside and it's not anywhere close to that. But I mean, I've been doing it at least every time I check the temperature versus what they say, it's at least 5 degrees cooler. And I'm checking on 3 different thermometers. At first I said, okay, maybe one's off. And again, I've been running for 6 months. The whatever weather bug report, and automatically you take from the National Weather Service or Weather Channel or whatever, from the National Weather Service, every day, every temperature is automatically adjusted up 3 degrees. How does that happen?
Yeah, I believe that. I definitely believe that.
I mean, if they're not running a disinformation campaign on us, then what the hell is this about? How could it be consistently 3 degrees for 6 months, every day, every forecast?
Yeah. Where are they taking these temperatures from is what I want to know.
Well, yeah, but I mean, somebody's got to automatically got a deal in their punch. Just adjust these numbers up 3 degrees. Because you couldn't consistently do that without somebody manipulating.
Yeah, true. Yeah. It just makes me wonder where they're taking these temperatures from, you know? They got a special thermometer.
Yeah, let's put the lighter under the thermometer. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I bet you go look at the forecast, they probably said it was 100 degrees in Cherry Valley that day, or close to it.
I think they said it was 98, yeah.
There you go, see?
It was 95 on the thermometer.
Yes!
So, uh-huh. Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, that's about right, I would say.
No, but trust the science.
Oh, yeah, sure. Just like this new mRNA flu vaccine, yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, you got to be a complete freaking idiot at this point to have that shot anywhere near your body.
Yeah, I agree. It's one bad enough to take the regular flu shot. Now they want us to take this shit. You know?
I don't know.
All right, Roy. I will talk to you tomorrow.
You got it.
Bye.